got me wishing that we were alone right now. I just wanna show you off somehow. You got me wishing that we were alone right now. Wait.
It's another GodSon podcast, episode 5. We in the building this time tonight. We got somebody special, somebody personal and dear to me. It's my brother Bully, aka Osiris Gomez. I know I said that backwards, but I intended to do that, right? You know what I mean? Yo, shout out Bully, man. Shout out to
Peace,
my
yo,
man
peace.
Strong. Thank you for being here. Another podcast with me. We
Yeah,
in here 5 deep, you heard?
yeah, you know how we rock the stock old, bro.
Mhm. So Bully, man, what up, man? You know what I'm saying? How you doing, man? How you living today, boy?
Good, man. Another day. I'm grateful to be here. Grateful to be on your podcast. Able to share my experience and everything that brought me to where I'm at today, man. Right now I'm in the car full of the family. As you can see, this is the movement.
Okay,
You already know what it is.
okay.
Right?
Well, that's real. That's real. That's real.
Uh,
Good.
That's real. I don't know,
yeah.
man. Tell us a little bit about
So
yourself, man. Where you from, cuzzo? Where you from? How you came up?
Massachusetts, born and raised. Grew up in the Hancock Projects, Savoy Ave, for anyone that's familiar with the Hancocks. Um, man, can I say? Growing up in Lawrence was one of those things where, survival of the fittest, Um, growing up out here, you really had to learn how to survive, man, especially, in the times that I grew up, parents weren't really too focused on teaching and leading their kids. It was mostly caught up in the party life. You're talking about 80s, early 90s. All you heard was your parents partying and talking about doing something other than teaching and guiding you. Really, you feel me? So I kind of raised myself, man. I was always in the streets, always trying to fit in, really, because I was trying to find my family. You know what I mean? Because it felt like growing up, I didn't have a family. You know what I mean? It was crazy. But shoot. Um, yeah, man, it's I went through a lot of stuff growing up, especially in those projects, which kind of shaped and molded me for the early years of my life. Um, growing up there, we're talking about only Hispanics was there, Puerto Ricans, Dominicans. So, um, that's who I was learning from. All the kids that were outside, all the hustlers that were outside. My older cousin, who was also, a big influence on a lot of the things that kind of drove me to wanting to be a certain way. And my mom, especially my mom. I mean, she was, as a single parent, she was a very strong woman, but very so a lot of the stuff that she was going through, kind of like was kind of like placed. I'm from a family of my mom had 6 kids, so I'm the middle child. Um,
Mm,
Middle child, and I was, you could say, the black sheep of the family, because I mean everyone had my older siblings. I have 2 older siblings, then I'm the middle, then I have twin sisters, and everyone had their dad in their lives except for me. So my older siblings, they were able to go with their dad. Um, my twin sisters, they were able to go with their dad. So I was always stuck at home with my mom. Um, and that shit was kind of, it was like, what the fuck? I got nobody. You know what I mean? Because honestly, like, I couldn't go anywhere. It wasn't like I could go to my dad's house. I could go to my uncle's house. I could go to my aunt's house. I was just stuck in the Hancocks. And in those times, you'll pop out. You wake up around 7 in the morning and you're right outside, all the way till it was time to flick the lights on and you had to run back to your house.
Fact.
So I spent most of my time just being outside in the streets. You feel me? And that's what molded me, man. And it molded me in a way where it allowed me to make sure I was able to defend myself. But at the same time, I was misled, and I was going down the wrong path. I was doing the wrong things for attention, for my mom's attention at that. Um, and it just, at one point in time, she was like, I think I was around like 10, 10, 11, and I had gotten caught with a gun in school, in the Frost School. For those that know, the Robert Frost School in Lawrence, and I got expelled.
Shout out to the floor.
Huh? Yeah, yeah. Shout out to the Frost. I mean, there was some good teachers that did care, but I was just too hard headed, and I wanted to fit in. So, anyways, um, getting expelled that year, 5th grade, that shit made my mom a whole different person. She was like, "Oh, this kid is not going to change." So that kind of just made her feel a certain way about a whole lot of shit. She was willing to just send me off with my dad. But you know, things just played out a whole different way. Now, I mean, she sent me out to live in New York with my dad. I told my dad, "Yo, I'm only here for a vacay," because I'm saying to myself, "Damn, you sent me out here. I don't even know this dude like that." Like, fucking, it's like probably the first introduction of me meeting him was me getting shipped all the way out there to go stay with him. And in my mind, I'm like, shit, I'm not staying with this dude. I don't even know this dude. Like, this shit is crazy. I told him, my mom sent me for vacation. You know what I mean? And then I came back to the hood and came to realize that my mom had left the projects, and that was the beginning of the ending. Because after that, when I came back out here, my mom had moved out the projects. She was living with a family member, and none of my family wanted me in their house. They just looked at me as trouble, and no one wanted to help. One of those things where it's like, yo, you're just a kid. I was young as fuck, so for everyone to turn their back on me kind of made me a certain way. And from there, I ended up in the system, the DSS system, which is foster care. And you already know, after that, man, I went through all the systems, foster care, residentials, group homes, and then I ended up, in the foster home where they cared, and that shit was like, years later. I think I was about like 12, 13 when I ended up with a family that I can say really played a major part in my life.
Mm.
Other than that, man, like, going through all those stages in my life, they kind of like, I got I got to see um I got to see that the work that I'm doing now, I was getting prepped for that, which is crazy,
Mm.
because I mean, as a kid, when I was going through all the shit I was going through, I was like, man, I can't wait to, for my life to like fucking change. I love to help kids. I never thought my life was gonna change because, I was so caught up in just, living the way I lived. I ended up catching a bid at 17, graduating from high school. I was like on my first semester of college at that. First semester of college, graduated high school, 1998. Started my first semester in like September, and around January of 99. Yeah, no, hold on. I graduated in 98. Yeah, January of 99, I caught my first bid. At 17, they had just
Mm.
changed the laws to make, they had changed the laws to charging a 17-year-old, youth as an adult. So that was it. They stuck me in county. Um, my charges were armed robbery, and I had to sit there for quite some time before I ended up pleading out because it was my first case. I was like, "What the fuck? What do I do?" Um, I'm like, "Damn, they're gonna charge me as an adult," and then you already know people that are in there telling you, "Oh, you're gonna go upstate." Boom, boom. So I'm like, "Damn, what the fuck is upstate? Like, what the fuck is going on?" But lo and behold, that's where I ended up going, and that was another chapter of my life that um, honestly kind of once again shaped and molded me and taught me things. So at 17, I sat in county for like almost 10 months before I pleaded out and ended up getting a 3 to 5 upstate. I went upstate and, I got into some shit, because at the end of the day, I wasn't gang banging. I was just doing me. You know what I mean? That's one thing about me. I always did whatever the fuck I wanted to do. And while I was upstate, I got into some trouble. Next thing you know, they turned around and was like, classed me to maximum facility. So now here I am, 17, getting classed to a maximum facility, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, why are they sending me over here with lifers? Like, I'm surrounded by lifers, people that ain't never coming home, people with numbers, just people that just, to them, they just done living. Like, you feel me? Um, so now I'm in the max. This is about 19. I want to say 1999. I ended up in Concord. So Concord used to be the place where you used to get your numbers. So you'll get your numbers there, and then you'll sit there till they class you wherever they class you. I ended up getting classed to Shirley Max. That was the max at the time. So I went there, and man, jail taught me so much. Like, I learned to stay away from certain people. I learned to be more observant than I already was, because I was always observant as a child. But that shit made me realize, all right, you got to move a certain way in here, and you can't be too friendly with everyone, which I never was. You know what I mean? I was, as a kid, I always, I chilled with certain people, but I mean, you had to be from the Hancocks. If you wasn't, then it was Hancocks or the Essex. For those that grew up around the Hancocks, that's really the only places that you chilled at, Hancocks and Essex. And sitting in jail, I had to put that into effect. I was like, shit, I'm not gonna fuck around with nobody. I got to be careful, and that shit right there made me a whole different person, because I did the full 5.5 upstate for some reason, because they didn't even want to give me parole. They were like, all right, you're gonna keep getting in trouble, you're gonna come back to jail or whatnot. And my whole shit was like, yo, I'm just doing my fucking bit. I can't even get parole. Like, I can't even fucking come home in my 3. So y'all motherfuckers is gonna play. In the meantime, there, man, you go through all types of shit, because you're sitting in jail.
Yo,
People
part
are
of so,
writing
cuz
what's
I
coming to
need
see
you to
you.
I need you to hold it down on the swears though, a little bit, just a little bit for the algorithm. I know
Can you
you're
hear me?
being mad real right now. I know you're being mad real, and I want you to stay being real. But just for
Yes,
the
yes, I
listeners and all
apologize.
that, I don't want to offend nobody. So, but go ahead, man. I ain't mean to cut you off, cuz what you saying?
Nope, I understand. My apologies. Hey, no. So listen, man. That's to go into what jail did. What's crazy is that when I went to jail, when I came out of jail, I was a complete different person. Even my speaking, everything. And then in the midst of being out here and just trying to coexist and get back into everything and reintegrate, you find yourself just relapsing and going back to your old ways. So here I am, 20 years. I want to say like 20 years later. I'm over here still trying to make changes. So pardon me for the swears. But yeah, man, I've been through some shit, man. I've been through the systems, like I said, foster homes, group homes, adult penitentiary system, and here I am now trying to make changes and give back to my community and get kids away from the bullshit. Um, and I'm still swearing, and I apologize. I gotta make a mental note of that.
No, you good, bro. You good.
Man, listen,
Nah, yeah, man. Just be real, man. Just be
yeah,
real. Don't worry about it, man. I'll deal with
no,
the
no,
slack
no,
later, man. It's cool.
yeah, edit that. Nah, but listen, man, bro, listen. 5.5 years made me a whole different person. So I come out in 2004. I come back to. I really didn't have a support system. I did, but I didn't. In my mind, I was like, I don't got nobody. I just did 5.5. Ain't nobody come see me like that. Ain't nobody write me a letter. You know what I mean? But I did have I did have a support system, which was my foster parents, the people that I lived with before I ended up going into jail. But I came out of jail. I'm like, man, I'm a whole different person. I'm a grown ass man now. I got facial hair. I don't need nobody. I got to make sure I get it now. And from there I come home 04, 05. I have two beautiful kids, two boys, and now my whole mindset changes now because I'm like, damn, I came out of jail. Um, I wanted to just come out and do good, go to school, finish college, whatnot. But now I have two kids that are gonna be born in 2005. So I'm like, I gotta do something. I gotta provide again. And I'm sorry I'm on the camera. I'm in the car and I'm just trying to like keep this shit on me. But
Are you good?
so I have two kids, 05,
Now you good,
and
cuz.
yeah, 05. I have my kids, and I'm under pressure now because now I gotta provide. You feel me? And the hardest thing to do is provide for your kids and your family. You know what I mean? Especially when you're on minimum wage and you're trying to pay bills and trying to make sure your kids have their diapers, have everything they need. And then you're trying to make sure you also don't raise the kids the way you were raised, feeling like they don't have nothing, so I went super hard, like, and I ended up turning right back into the street life. And man, I went through some shit, man. Mees was around for some of that time when things were good while we were in the streets, and then things get bad. You already know how it is when you're involved in the streets. Things is good sometimes, things are bad sometimes. Um, and I found myself, doing all types of shit to make sure I provided for my kids. Things that I wasn't even happy about at times, because I know it could have cost me my life, could have cost me, not being around my kids. Um, and just, at the end of the day, it was changing me. It was making me a whole different person, just doing all the shit I was doing to provide for my kids. And at the same time, even though I was providing for my kids, I wasn't really providing the right tools for my kids. You feel me? I was just providing material stuff, clothes, stuff like that, game consoles, whatever it was they needed. But I wasn't really giving them the proper tools, man, to mold them and shape them so they can, be a certain way. And that was one of the things, man. I was a young father, just came out. I didn't know. I didn't even know. I didn't even know how to do that. I jumped in a relationship thinking I was already ready for that, and lo and behold, I wasn't ready for any of that. But I went with the punches. You know what I mean, I tried my best to be the best father I could be, and at this stage now, my kids is 15 and they both good. But I feel like I did them a disservice for not playing my role better than what I did. You understand? By giving them my undivided attention, being there, just building with them more. Like, it was just always me hustling, taking them with me. It was always something, but it wasn't just that, one-on-one time with my kids. I usually kept them around each other, so I had both of my kids around each other all the time, and it was just, kind of, I wasn't able to build with them individually and just figure out how they were, and that I needed to do to understand how to be a better parent. And here I am now. My kids is 15, and I'm still learning to be a parent because I have another child, and he's 1 year old. So I'm trying to do everything differently now. But fast forward to where I am now. You know what I mean? Doing this work in my community, trying to help, change kids' lives and, just give back and just try to offer uh, an outlet. You know what I mean? Offer an outlet, offer a helping hand, offer a shoulder to lean on, just offer everything that, as kids we needed or I needed, you feel me? Because, I grew up a certain way and I needed a lot, you know what I mean? And all the neglect turned me to the streets, you know what I mean? And the streets is very misleading, so here I am, trying to provide all types of resources to kids through the programs that I work for. First, I worked for a nonprofit, which was working with proven risk, at-risk youth from the age of 17 to 24. I did that for about a good 5 years. And honestly, out here where we from, you just have mainly Dominicans and Puerto Ricans, and a lot of these kids are either, in one gang or another. So they always at each other's throats. And, I had to have all these kids in the program. And the hardest thing was for me to get them to coexist and to understand, listen, you got to put all that other shit aside so that way you can get the services that I'm trying to give you so you can do something with your life and make changes. You know what I mean? And I needed them to understand that regardless of what I'm doing, it's not enough. It's not going to be enough because everything that you have within you is what's going to propel you to do better and move forward. So I can just give you, I can give you the tools so that way you can figure out, all right, which path now I want to go. And through my experiences, just, breaking bread with these kids and talking to them and letting them know, like, this is what I've been through. You don't have to go through this shit. And plus, you don't want to have to sit in jail to realize that all you have is yourself. You know what I mean? And all you have is yourself and the higher power, which you're going to speak to mainly a good percent of the time that you're sitting there in yourself. You understand?
Right.
Facts, super
And
facts.
a lot of these kids don't understand that, man. So it's just like there's some people that like when I was growing up and I went to school, there was teachers that were like they just saw me not doing the shit I was supposed to be doing, so they were like automatically quick will brush you off and be like, fuck it, this kid doesn't want to learn. And then there was the teachers that were there that were like constantly on your ass. You feel me? Like constantly just on you, like, nah, come here, you got to do this, you got to do that, don't do that, come on. And keep harassing you and bothering you and trying to get you to do the right thing. And those are the people that you kind of like appreciate later down the road. So my job now is to be that person that that someone was for me. You understand? So I'm constantly trying to make sure that I uplift these kids and just point them in the right direction. Through me doing the work that I did for the nonprofit, I ended up landing a role and working in the public school system. So now I work with a whole different demographic, but it's still kind of the same. It's the same people, to be honest. It's kids and gangs. I work for a program called the Rise Program, which is
Hey,
out
yo,
of Lawrence
Christian White
County,
says
Texas.
peace. My bad, I didn't mean to cut you off. Christian White says peace. I put his
Peace,
comment right
brother.
on the screen.
And working now with these kids, my whole thing is I worked with the age group of 17 to 24, which is cool. I mean, I tried my best to do what I can, but I felt like something's missing. Like these kids, they're already kind of like stuck in their ways, and it's gonna take for something crazy to happen for them to change. There's only so much I can do to help someone change.
That's a
Once I'm
fact.
providing the tools that necessary for you to get a job, or to go do counseling or whatever you got to do to heal from your traumas. If you don't take advantage of that and you just continue to block all that off and be like, I don't need any of that, then you're just waiting to catch a bid or possibly get killed, which that's the sad part about it. That's usually what happens. Either the person catches a bid or they get killed. Some of the kids that I've worked with,
Yo,
that's actually what has happened. So
real
I just
quick,
felt like,
man,
damn.
give us like an example of something that was very pivotal in you growing up, because briefly you mentioned that what you do today has to do with where you came from. You know what I mean? So just something that was a pivotal moment in your life where you decided that something needed to change.
Oh man, so what? 2009, I was locked up with you. We were sitting in the cell. And honestly, I remember being on the block. I don't know if we were, I forgot what block we were on, but I was calling home and I realized how much that bid, which was only 18 months, was destroying me. When I did 5.5 and that shit it was like nothing. I did that shit like nothing. I went through what I went through, but it did not affect me as much as the 18 months affected me. You understand? And it was because I had my kids. And that's when I realized, bro, what am I going to do? Spend the rest of my life locked up, not raising my kids? I'm going to do the same shit that they did to me. You know what I mean?
Facts.
And after that, I came out and I made changes. At that time I ended up moving, getting my own crib, and I started moving differently. But I was kind of still, caught up. But I wasn't, everyone that knows me and anyone that's come across me, I've always tried to help everyone out. I mean, even when I was raising my kid and we lived in the subsidized housing area, all the kids looked towards me, to like as a father figure. I used to, I provide shit. They weren't even my kids. Yo, you hungry? You good? You need something? I was giving out my son's toys to them. Like, here, like he's misbehaving. Here, keep this. Like, I
Oh,
That's
mean,
real.
oh,
but like that right there made me understand. Damn, I got to make changes. But what the pivotal moment was. After all that, I went through some shit. I ended up in my mom's house. So I was sitting there, living with my mom once again. And this is my biological mother. She knew I was going through some shit. She let me stay in her crib. And as I'm staying there, I'm working like 3 jobs. I was working like 3 jobs, man, honestly. I was working like a third shift to 8 o'clock shift in the morning. Um, on Saturdays
You
and
fading in and out. You fading in
Sundays,
and
I
out right now.
was uh, uh, painting, doing construction. I was just away going through it. Can you hear me, Mies?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. It's just breaking up a little bit.
It's probably no. My apologies. We're in the back roads
Yeah,
right
no,
now.
I think it got to do with you traveling. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
just know that you just breaking
bro,
up a little bit.
it's gonna pop out, yeah, with you being on the road. But I mean, that's so good.
Sorry about that, guys.
Now you good,
So
bro.
yeah, man, the pivotal moment came then. I was sitting in my mom's house, going.
Yeah, you froze up, Cuzzle. You froze up. You froze up right now. You heard?
Oh yeah, he froze.
Yeah, man. I was getting good. I was definitely getting good right there. Wait till his camera clear up. Yo,
Yo,
Cuzzle, once your camera clear up, you know what I mean. I want you to get right back into that because I think you was giving some jewels right now. You know what I mean? If you have to call back in, if you have to log back
yo,
in,
listen,
do
I'm
that, and
back.
I'll let
Am
you
I
right
in?
back on. You in? You in? I can see
Can you
you.
hear me?
You just,
All right,
yeah, I
Yeah,
can you
can
hear
hear
me?
you, but you jumpy right now.
I'm choppy.
yeah,
You
Um,
it's
choppy.
exception because you traveling.
You
yeah,
kung fu in the
sorry
flick
about that,
right now.
guys. I just had a,
Nah,
I had a,
good,
we had to
good.
take care of something. Um,
Nah, don't worry. Do your thing, Poppy.
yeah. So as one day I was walking my mom in the park. We were doing, we're doing a couple laps. And I'm talking to her, and I actually see a friend of mine. It's crazy, man, because this is the wild part about all this, right? The people that I was incarcerated happen to be the same people that I'm doing this work with. We all trying to make changes in our community. Some of us just work for different organizations, but we're all doing the same shit right now, trying to change our hood. So one day I was walking in the park with my mom, and I happened to see someone I was locked up with, man. And shout out to Bum because he's the one that put me in this road. Um, he sees me, he said, "Yo, what's good? What you doing?" And I'm like, "Nah, nothing, man. You already know, going through the motions, man. Um, looking for work because at the end of the day, even though I had 3, I was still looking for work." He's like, "Bro, you looking for work? All right, I'm gonna get back at you, man. I'm doing something. I'm working with kids. I'm gonna get back at you." And he happened to get back at me and was like, "Yo, listen, you want to volunteer and just talk to the youth, share your story?" I mean, we was together in the same blocks in Walpole, so I was like, "Word, I'll do that, man." I mean, that's a small thing. Like, I want to get back to my community. I always wanted to do this shit as a kid, and you know, as I was growing, I was like, man, I never want no one to go through the shit I went through. So I want to make sure that if I can help someone or help a kid,
Yo,
I'm
no,
going to do
yo,
it.
Cuzzle, not to cut you off, but right now you sounding choppy. It sounds
And
crazy. I don't know what happened to your to the audio, but it's a little choppy right now.
can you hear me?
I can hear you, but it's like you have like some type of static or something, like some friction.
Hey, I'm gonna log off and jump back in.
Yeah, do that. All right, say no more.
Yeah, nah,
But
that's
yeah, man, just to give you a little bit, because I'm gonna let him tell the story too, man. But Bully's one of these dudes, man. When I came back from Philly, not even to tell war stories or none, but we gonna tell it what it's gonna be, right? Because we gotta paint this picture correctly, right? I
facts.
came back from Philly and I was broke. I only came back. I think it was like I only had like 5,000 to my name. Um, so Bully, the way I connected with him is that we ended up doing a scheme together, and we came up on some money, and then after that, he had my loyalty, you know what I mean? And so what I started doing was watching him. I started watching him real closely because I started to realize that he wasn't like my other dudes. You know what I mean? Like he wasn't the type of dude that'd be around people. You know what I mean? That wants to be around people. He wasn't for the hype. You know what I mean? Now I'm just here telling a little bit about our history or whatnot.
Yeah,
I'm saying that you were somebody I started to pay attention to when I came back from Philly because number one, you put me on in a way nobody else put me on, and my family was homeless at the time. You know what I mean? We were sleeping on couches and all that, right? And you came and you put me on one time, and it touched me in such a way where I started to really pay attention to you. You know what I mean? And one thing that I learned about you is that you're a very determined person. Now, mind you, we was in the hood, we was in the street life doing all that, and you was very determined on that side. I mean, I don't want to get into any type of details, but there was times where even me, I had to like be like, yo, I don't know, Bully, I can't rock with you on this one because you was, like I always say, you had one speed, and that was go. You know, there was another example, that made me really, like really reconsider the type of person you was, and that was a little episode that you had with a police officer where you almost threw him off a roof. Just to be blunt, bro. I'm not trying to tell war stories. We're not here to glorify none of that. You know what I mean? But I'm definitely just I want to paint the picture because I want people to understand what type of person you are. I want people to understand the quality of a person that you are. You're a person, you're a doer. You're what I would call a doer because, as much as people talk about what they need to do and how they need to do it, I only see you doing what you need to do and how you need to do it. You know what I mean? I've seen you go from the bottom to the top, and honestly for me, I've seen it since we was in the streets. You know what I mean? You was a different type of person, and I always said that you had this quality about you, man, that I admired a lot and it inspired me a lot. So to see that you come from the bottom and to see where you at right now is crazy. Like you out here, you doing the very thing that you came from. You know what I mean? And you doing it to try to help others, man. And that to me is commendable, bro. And this is why I actually wanted to have you on the podcast. Aside from the fact that you was my partner in crime for everything that I used to do before. And it's just crazy that both of us are on the other side of the fence now, talking what we talking, right? So I just wanted to highlight that a little bit. So not to talk about war stories or nothing, but go a little bit in depth. Maybe give an example or two of times where you was basically about to go completely the opposite way from where you are today. You know what I mean? There was times you could have ended up in jail for the rest of your life. You know what I
yeah,
mean? I don't know if you want to elab on that.
yeah, man. I mean, that for those that grow up in these communities where it's pop stricken, where we are limited to the options of what it is we can do with our lives, and the choices are short. Like we don't have to need the. I wasn't a basketball player. I wasn't a football player. I love sports. I played it, but I wasn't like that. Wasn't my vision. Like I want to be a football player. I want to be a basketball player. Like me personally, I was like always into clothes. So I was like, I want to be a designer. I want to make sneakers. I want to. You guys are still there?
Yeah. We here.
Yeah, we here, man. I'm just asking, like, for you to give us an example, bro. Like, where you was getting ready to throw it all away because I know you personally, so I know there was many examples where you would have threw everything away, and to see where you at right now, that you in the position that you in right now, which we're gonna get into in a second. But just to paint the picture before we get there, because I want to say, like, there's people right now, son, that they find themselves coming out of jail. They find themselves with the same type of history that we got, and they feel like they don't have no hope. Like they feel like that's what they're gonna be forever. You know what I mean? I think we might have lost them again. But basically, what I'm trying to say is, I remember times, man, just watching my cuz make decisions that normal people wouldn't make. You know what I mean? Like I'm like,
Right.
cuz like you good, right? Like that was my mind. Like, bro, you good? You know what I
It
mean?
was all
Because
in. It was all the way in. Like, and it's hard to tell a person when they have that level of motivation not to go because that's all they know. That's like where other people might hesitate with something, they don't have that hesitation button. They they
yeah,
they not equipped with that. I mean, that's like my man Vic. I mean, my that's like my big brother. We grew up together. You feel me? But just don't there's no pause. You don't know pause. You don't know yellow lights. Like it's only green. You don't even know red lights. You only know green. You know what I mean? And to see a person come from that to where he is now, like, I mean, only by the grace of God he's still here. You know, and it shows by what he's doing that he's here for a purpose. He's here for a reason. You know what I mean? And that's beautiful. That's OD beautiful. You feel me?
yeah, cuz man, I mean, I just think I just always think about the dude that just came out of jail right now, who came out to maybe
And not
maybe his wife is with somebody else. His boys done turned they back on him. I'm thinking about that person, man,
yo
and that
yo yo cousin. Look, when I came out on my last bid, I had just gotten divorced, but um my ex-wife and my kids, they were still living in the same state, the same city as me. You feel me? So I came out. She had moved. My kids was with her. I had no clothes. I had the only bread I had was what I had when I was in there that I didn't. I mean, like I came out with nothing. So I feel that. I definitely feel that. I mean, I know what that's like, bro. And it's only and I'll say it even for me, it's only by the grace of God that I made it. You know what I mean? I'm making it because there's a purpose for my life, there's a call for my life. And now I'm understanding that now, but I didn't understand it, then I actually hated it. You know what I mean? Like, why am I here? You know what I mean? So this type of talk, this type of conversation, this is for somebody else that's been through what we've been through or going through what we've been through, so that just our physical representation shows you that you can come up out of that, man. Like there's like there is no end road until the master says so. You know what I mean? There is no end, there is no stuck. Nah, something's gonna happen. Maybe if you don't see it yet, but something's definitely gotta happen and everything. You know what I mean? Because we're chosen, we're called. You know what I mean? We're set apart for a reason, you feel me?
yeah, I mean, I think a lot of times, man, it's easy for us to make excuses for us not doing the things that we need to do, and given that we come from this background where it's almost like you've been set up for failure, right?
Yeah,
One of the things I was talking to my cousin last night was it's crazy that I could go to a 5-star hotel on a vacation, but the minute that I see people that look like me, I don't feel like I'm on a vacation no more. You know what I mean? And it's weird, man. It's like it's almost like we've been programmed to see ourselves in a certain type of light.
fact,
And this is actually why I wanted to bring on Bully, because like he's the exception. I'm sure there's many people that are the exception, but this is one that I know personally. You know what I mean? He's the exception. I know Bully for being the type of dude that'll go from 0 to 100 without asking questions to nobody. You know what I mean? Like you'll find out the story after. You know what I mean? And I used to look at that, and I used to, because mind you, bro, like I come from that type of environment where you want to be the alpha male. You know what I mean? You want to be the person that people don't really feel too comfortable around. You know what I mean? You don't want to let people know when you coming and going. So to be around this brother, man, but aside from that, I was seeing things about him that was just like it was godly character. It was just like like what he does now, what he does today, it was almost like I saw it before it happened, because he always had this character about him. I just feel like a lot of times we just come from a bad upbringing, so it's so easy for us to always make the wrong decision.
Most
You
definitely.
know, one of the things, Bully, right, that I want you kind of elaborate on before we get into what you're doing now is just give us an example, son, because think about this, bro. As normal as it feels to us for some of the things that we've done, that's not normal. There's people right now that if you tell them some of the stories that you've done,
Like,
they're
oh,
gonna be like, yeah,
great.
what?
How can you do that? Facts.
Yeah, son. So, and we know that you don't do that no more because once we get into what you're doing now, people are gonna see the evolution, right? But like, give us a story or an example in your life personally that represented a dark moment in your life, meaning where you wasn't logically thinking. You know what I mean? And if you could give us at least some type of details to paint the picture clearly, so that way when we get into what you're doing now, it all makes sense.
As long as it ain't incriminating you, bro. As long as it ain't incriminating you, feel me?
Yeah, definitely don't incriminate yourself, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, nah, listen, yo, listen. I had so many. Yeah, no, nah, I think I'm past that.
Yeah, yeah, you off, cause of
Man, you
your
know,
phone is
son,
glitchy.
I in the times that I was so lost like that, I there was nothing like that I would have not done to make sure I got right. So at the end of the day, man, like I found myself. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah,
You still glitchy. You're a little glitchy.
Yeah, man, things not working. Hell?
You
Mees,
can
can you
hear
hear me?
me? I can hear you, but you like
Hey,
glitching in and
guys, can
out
you hear
when
me?
when you start talking.
Man, sorry about that, guys. I don't know what's going on. I
now
can
you
hear
good.
you.
You good. You good. You
Yeah, I can
good.
hear you. Just
Crackles.
letting you know that you mad glitchy though. You know what I mean? You might wanna
Yeah, I
you
don't
might
know what
wanna
it
go
is,
to a
man.
spot
It's just
where you got better service.
yeah. So so listen, right? Hey, listen. That so in '09, man, I was to the point. Mees, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, bro. Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you, cuz.
Guys, can you hear me?
Yeah.
On the side of everything, I was going through. I was, I was in a dark place, man. I honestly didn't care about anything. I was going through a situation with the mother of my kids. I was tired of running around, breaking night, trying to come up. I was just tired of everything, and that day I went from I reacted in a very impulsive way, and it led me to go on a car chase with the cops and I'm crashing cruisers. And Jay mentioned that I try, in the midst of all that, as I'm getting away, I got away. I ended up trying to hide. I hide on the rooftop, and fucking the night before it had snowed, so they followed my footprints and end up finding me on top of the roof. And in the midst of that, they find me on the roof. I'm on the floor, so I'm already down, and they stop beating on me. And then I just get up and start fighting with them. I'm not gonna just stay here and let these dudes beat on me. So I get up, stop fighting with one of them. The next thing you know, one of them comes from behind, tries to grab me, and I grab him and try to throw him off the roof. In the midst of trying to do that, like I get choked out. They grab me from behind, choke me out, grab me, cuff me, and then that was the moment right there where I was like, damn, I just almost like I even before I got my charges read to me and what was going on, I was like, oh, I'm hit. I ain't coming home for a long time. I'm like, this is it, But I was like, I'm gonna go back upstate, and it's just gonna be a whole different me. I'm not gonna give a fuck about nothing. And something, God intervened, man, because I didn't even get the time I should have gotten for that case. I had a good attorney, and he ended up getting me 18 months. You guys are there still?
Yeah, we here.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
here. You coming in perfect now.
Yep. I ended up getting the 18 months for that case. And man, like I said, those 18 months were the worst 18 months of my life. I ain't like the only good thing about it was that that I was doing time with my hands. Like it was me and me's, from Middleton, we ended up going, to a pre-release kind of, and that was it, man. But the whole 18 months was just a rude awakening for me. But that right there made me realize, yo, you can't be impulsive like that. That should almost cost me my life. Honestly, and they could have gave me a whole lot more time, and I probably would have never made the changes that I made. You understand? I probably would have been sitting back upstate in a max, just wilding out. And God stopped out. He stopped all that from happening, and gave me another chance. 18 months turned into, this blessing here, of me now seeing things differently, appreciating my life more, appreciating the people that I have around me, appreciating my kids more. Um, yeah, honestly, man, that was like a pivotal moment in my life because that impulsive behavior was not anything new. That shit was just, that was a part of me. Everything was impulsive, but I felt like that was part of my instance. Like I felt like I had to learn to react quickly, because if not, where I was growing up at, you didn't want to be food. You feel me? So you
Yeah.
had to react, and being impulsive to me was what got me, what helped me survive. Because if I wasn't impulsive like that, I probably would have not made a lot of the choices that I made to do certain things, and gotten by, and been able to provide for my kids. So I let myself be led by impulse for so long until I realized, damn, a lot of my impulsive behavior has also led me to find myself in situations that I couldn't get out
Mm.
of. And just that started to work in me, because I came home, and like I said, I came home in like 2010, 2011, and I just wanted to disassociate myself from everything. And then I had to figure out again, how am I going to provide, how am I going to pay for this, pay for that, and little by little I found myself going through the same shit until I just ended up in my mom's house. And that was like the rude awakening, was sitting in my mom's house being like, damn, bro, you just, like, you was in a good place, like you was good, like, and here you are once again starting from the bottom. And I'm 33 now, and I'm like, yo, this can't be life, really. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sitting here in the room that my mom's letting me stay in, and I'm just like, this shit can't be life, yo. Like, I can't let my kids see me like this. I've always
Right.
had my own shit. I always had my crib. Like, my kids always been good, but I was going through it at that point in time. That even providing for them was hard. Like, I wasn't able to do all the things that I was doing, and that shit was affecting me. I mean, that shit
Right.
was affecting me to the point where I wasn't feeling like a man anymore. I was like, man, this shit is whack. Man, I feel like one of these bum ass niggas out here. Excuse my language. But
Good.
Now
Good.
you good, Cuzzo.
man,
You good. Spirit and truth, Bobby.
yeah,
Right.
man, that right there was what it was, man. It was a moment of truth for me. It made me realize I had to make a decision, and I had to change my life. And once I seen my friend that I was locked up with, man, and he offered me that opportunity to go volunteer, I took that shit and ran with it, man. And God knows what he does, man. He placed me in an environment where I needed to be, because in the midst of me dealing with these kids, I was helping myself heal from my
Right.
past also. You
That's beautiful.
understand? So yeah, man, as I was healing, um, I was also learning to, you know, manage new relationships with people that, were just as broken as I was.
Mm.
And they just going through it trying to figure out life. And they you know, man, when you grow up the way that I grew up, and it's just like you kind of enclose yourself. You don't trust nobody. I mean, you don't show too much emotions. You're not affectionate. You can't even to give someone a hug is like, that shit, you just gonna dap. I'm gonna just dap you by him. But it just turned into that, man. I was working with kids, and I was like, man, I'm gonna just do what I know I need to do, which was what wasn't given and provided to me. I'm gonna make sure like these kids have that type of relationship with me where I'm gonna give you a hug, B. Come here, Leo. Come here, and then
Right.
like good, everything good, and
Word.
you need
Word.
something. Talk to me. Let's go for a walk. Let's talk. And just provide that. I was trying to provide what I just didn't have. Know what I mean? And I know a lot of these kids needed that shit, man, because I needed it. So I started off volunteering, and from volunteering, I got hired a part-time position. The part-time turned into a full-time. The full-time turned into me running the whole space. We built the
That's
facility. I played a major part in building it. Um, and man, next thing you know, I was running the outreach team. Um, I had the facility close to like 50 kids in there from both gangs, like gangs that like out here we have GEDs and we have Trinis, the Trinitarios. So I had to have these kids coexist. And it was wild, man, because at times you'll run into situations where they trying to bang out, and or shoot each other, or plot while the person's in the program walking out, and you was just like, man, listen, you safe. I had to make sure they were safe. You know what I mean? Um, and I was able to, accomplish that, man. I was able to accomplish for the kids to be safe in the program and to go there, work, put in the, do what they had to do. The only thing that I couldn't do was protect them when they were out and about
fact.
doing what they was doing. And that shit affected me because I felt like, damn, all right, so we have these programs and, but damn, they're going home. They're going back to reality. Like, this is a safe haven for them right here. But they still got to go back to the hood and deal with the reality of things. Like, they
Facts.
probably couch surfing. They probably, in their mom's house. Their mom's constantly probably kicking them out. So I'm like, what am I really doing? I'm like, the system that I'm working for right now, it's kind of, for me, I felt like, man, this ain't where I'm supposed to be. I need to do stuff for the kids that are younger. So I needed to do early prevention work. And I was like, man, I need to start where that shit started off for me, like around, 10, 11, 12. That's when everything started to change for me. So I'm like,
Real,
that's who I need to work with these kids. So eventually, in the midst of me doing the work I was doing, being a court liaison, going to the court, working with kids, advocating for them in the court, getting a lot of kids, lesser sentences or even probation. Um, Doing that work, people started, referring me to work with certain kids that happen to be in the school system. And next thing you know, um, we ended up, the program that I worked for ended up partnering up with the public school system, trying to create something different. But it didn't work because, you can't mix both populations. You can't put young kids around sharks. You feel me? Like people that have
yeah.
already been exposed to a million things. Like that's not going to do anything beneficial for those kids because that's going to make them more curious, make them want to, be around those kids that, right now haven't figured it out. So,
Right.
that partnership ended, and they proposed. They offered me a position at the school, and I said, son, I got to get away from this, man, because at the end of the day, I know I'm doing the best I can, but there's only so much I can do. Now, there got to be more people involved to discuss exactly what's going on when it comes to these nonprofits getting all this money to work with the community and try to fix the communities. So I ended up going
Yeah.
into the public school
So
system. Yes, sir.
I was gonna say one of the things with me because me myself, I grew up in DYSs and in group homes and all of that, and I used to be a troublemaker. One of the things that I used to like to do all the time was fight. You know what I mean? So I would always be fighting, and then there used to be this one staff dude who would roll up every single day and call me into the office. Every time he came on into his job, he would call me into the office, and that right there, he would call me into the office and he'd be like, "Why you mad?" Even though I wasn't mad, you know what I mean? But it would make me start thinking that this dude really cared about how I thought. So then I made it a point that every time I saw him working, I wouldn't act up. You know what I mean? Because out of my respect for him, because I'm like, well, if he cared for me, then I'm gonna care for him. And I'm not gonna make his job harder because I was one of the, I was turn up. You know what I mean? And then I had this thing about me where I could easily get people to do what I was doing at the same time. So, so I was always turning up. But when he was on staff, I wouldn't turn up at all. You know what I mean? Because I was like, yo, this dude really cares about me, man. So, and it was just like by default, I just wanted to show him that same respect. So to hear you talk and the reasons why you started doing what you're doing kind of reminds me of that. You know what I mean? And just hearing what you said about these programs or whatnot, I guess that leads off into my next question because I would ask you, given that you're in this field of helping kids, what are some of the things that you see that are basically a waste of time versus the
Means you
things that you
breaking up,
know?
bro.
What happened? Break? You can hear me?
Now you good now. You good now.
All right. So what was the last thing you heard me say?
Uh, question.
So what I was gonna say is being that you're in this field and you work in this field, what are some of the things that you see being implemented that you feel like is pointless versus the things that you know are gonna make a difference?
So from let me go. So when I worked for the nonprofit, um, with the kids from the age of 17 to 24, I felt that what was missing is, um, they provide, they try to give kids their high set, their GEDs, which is cool. Um, but they didn't have the follow through was like, if a kid decides, all right, I want to go to barber school or I want to go to become a carpenter or do HVAC, like the funds weren't there for that. You know what I mean? So the kids really couldn't follow through with that. And there was no way for us to really set him up so that way he can do that shit without a problem. Like, all right, you want to go to barber school? You're really serious about it? We're going to go sign you up. We'll take care of that fee. And that way it allows the kid to do that work and, put himself in a position where now eventually, once he finishes that, he can go get the staples off and now be in a better position where he doesn't feel like he has to turn around and go hustle or do anything that he was doing before to try to survive and provide for himself. I mean, so when it came to a lot to the program and what I saw was, all right, I could get you services, but them services don't even lead to anything else either. They just leave you right back to dealing with reality, which is, damn, I got to go back to my hood. I got to go back to where I'm staying. I got to go back to the same thing. I still got to figure out how I'm going to provide for myself tomorrow. How I'm going to provide.
You in and out again. You choppy up.
Yeah, that
You
was.
chopping. You chopping.
Yeah, it's coming out crazy.
Situation in the same predicament. So I was like, yo, what am I really doing? Huh?
Yeah, you was chopping up for a little bit.
Yeah, he's lagging right.
Can you hear me?
He's hearing what we've been heard. I mean, what we've
Yeah,
been.
you like in and out. You in and out. I can hear you right now a little bit, but you in and out.
I just come in and out. Yeah, man, it's where we're at right now. But we're about to start routing back to the house. So I don't know if I could just hop back on once I just get to the crib. I'm not sure what
Yeah, no,
type of
you could
time you
definitely
guys
do
start.
that. We got my man Wisdom on at 7 o'clock next. So you could definitely log back on because we're just gonna be kicking it with Wisdom. Wisdom is basically what his name says. We're gonna talk some wisdom. He's a father. He's a grandfather. So if you want to log back in, because I think you could relate. I'm sure that you could relate to where he's at. So if you
Yeah,
definitely want to log back in, you can log back in, man.
but fully,
Definitely, I'm gonna do that, man, so that way I
got,
don't have to deal with all this in and out stuff.
but I
Yeah,
want.
yeah, no, we can do that. And we could continue. We could continue where we left off. You know what I mean, and kind of make it like an open dialogue. Because in reality, my whole purpose of doing this anyway is just to give out jewels, man. I want to give jewels to the people that can receive them. And this is why I even want to this is why I wanted you to go into your past a little bit because I want you to connect to the people that are going to be able to receive them. There's
Yeah,
people that come from where we come from. You know what I mean? So but yeah, we'll continue this again once you get to a better spot because you kind of like making mad noise and glitching out over there. So But yeah, so what we'll do for the people that's watching, that's still interested in hearing Bully, we're gonna log back on around 7 o'clock, maybe between 7:15. We got Wisdom on. We're gonna interview him for a little bit too, and just have an open dialogue. Anybody who wants to log in and join the conversation, you're more than welcome to. All you got to do is let me know in the comments. I'm gonna try to figure out how I can see the comments for Facebook. But if you want
Yeah,
to log in and you feel like you want to add your 2 cents, you're more than welcome to come through that. You know what I mean? Just make sure you keep it right. But I'll put the link in the comments for anybody who wants to join in, and then yeah, man, we'll go from there, man. This is
yeah, most,
definitely dope, and I definitely don't want what Bully was talking about to be lost because of his
yeah,
connection. So we'll
yeah.
definitely reiterate this.
That's a fact. You know what I mean? Because the things he was saying was, it's real. It's real, and people need to hear that. You know what I mean? So we definitely got to get you back on here, bro. You know what I mean? So I mean, we get it, you traveling, and we appreciate you taking your time out of your day and just chopping it up with us, and even even around your family and everything. Like we much appreciate that from the heart, for real. You know what I mean? Because I mean, you could be doing anything else in the world, be anywhere else in the world. You know what I mean? So that's definitely much love for that, bro. For real.
Facts, facts. So Bully, you already know, man. Soon as you get back to the crib or whatnot, hit me up. I'll send you the link, and then you lock in with us, man. And
We'll do, man. I
we'll
appreciate
just
it,
have an
guys.
open dialogue, man. Appreciate you coming through though, cuz you heard.
You already, man. I love you, brother. I'll see you in a
I love
few.
you too, cuz you already, man. So yeah, man, strong, man. It was pretty dope, man. I wish that the connection was a little better because it is what it is, though, man. So
Yeah,
we'll log back in, 7 between 7 7:15. Let me holler at Wisdom right quick. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And you already know. We'll be
yeah,
back in. Yo, everybody watching, thank you for logging on. Thank you for watching
yeah,
this episode, this
yeah,
brief
yeah,
episode.
yeah, bro. Y'all share this live. Share this live, bro. Know what I mean? If y'all want to come in, conversate, know what I mean? Add your experiences, know what I mean? Ask questions. This is what we here for. As you can tell, know what I mean? We're a real transparent pit where we don't mind who you are, how you are. You know what I mean? Because God don't mind who you are, how you are. You know what I mean? So we accept you how he accepts you, how he accepted us. You know what I mean? And that's just for anybody. And I don't know why, but my spirit is telling me to reiterate that for anyone that may have a preconceived idea or may have a judgment. Oh, they're doing a podcast, but bros on Nick. Listen, 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 listen. That's not how you reach nobody. And I'm going to say that, and I'm going to say it again. That's not how you reach nobody. That's not how you are able to connect with nobody. Our best example in the Bible is Jesus Christ, and he's not known for being around just the nice people. You know what I mean? Let's get that very clear. Let's get that. You know what I mean? He was around the prostitutes.
Facts.
He was around the tax collectors. He was around all of the people that was unsavory characters for the people that was in the synagogues. So those are the people that we want. Those are the people that we trying to talk to. Those are the people that we trying to reach. Because you can't really receive full healing if you come in dressed up as if you already got it all. Nah, bring all of that energy. Bring all of that. We want all of that. We need all of that. And God sees all of that and God honors all of that. So again, for anyone that's having maybe some type of a judgmental mind frame of which I may see here going on, consider your judgment. And also consider the example that we're following. We're not following you, we following Christ. You know what I mean? Because
Come on, son.
example for us. You know what I mean? And I promise you, like I feel it in my spirit, like there's somebody that this is for. Let me let y'all know. Don't do that. Don't do that. We want all of I don't care who you are, what you're going through. You can come on this show with a bodily and respectfully. You come in with a bodily and whatever it is you're going through, bring it. We want to talk to you
Bring
about
it.
we want to this is where we want you to be. Because we know that if you here, you're gonna get something that's gonna help you. We don't care the state that you in. We're trying to get you to the person and to the man that's going to be able to save you from that and help and deliver you from that. Now, I mean, all of that pretty. We don't want no pretty pictures, bro. We don't want no pretty pictures. We want everything
Word.
broken. We want everything real and transparent. Know what I mean? So
I mean, the life of this podcast, man, is Spirit and Truth, bro. Spirit and truth. We know spirit and truth is both Jesus. You know
Fact.
what I mean? And but we here to worship God from our heart, not from our traditions, not from our lips. You know, and I was actually thinking that, when Cuzzo was just like, swearing and all that. But the reality is this, B. Like, it is what it is, man. I'd rather somebody come in here swearing and being honest with me than to
Fact.
play the polite role and just lie to my face. You know what I mean? So
Fact.
anybody who's watching this, man, I apologize for all the swearing. Maybe,
I think
when you hear that, if it bothers you, probably you might want to click off and click back on or whatever.
right.
But this is the goal, man. The goal is to get people to be transparent and be real, man. We're not looking for
Fact.
cookie cutter shape anybody. We're
Fact.
looking for real people. I'm a real person. Strong is a real person, and Bully was a real person, man.
Real.
As far as Anthony Jordan, look, we about to start it back up 7:15, cause I'm gonna put the link in the chat, and
Fact.
feel more than happy to log in. Just make sure if you come in, come correct. You know what I mean? Spirit and truth.
Yo, raindrops keep falling on my window, tears falling for these crying kids, died by the pistol. So sad, they die young in the streets so fast. Won't even make it to 21, and if they do, they don't last. It's either the box or a box, getting covered in sand. Visiting rooms and funeral homes, being flooded by fam. Damn, who could we blame? We got nobody to blame for it. Charge it to the game is all we got to say for it. So I'm down on my knees, asking God to make a way for us. Cause the only thing I'm seeing is them people digging graves for us. Cold world, try to get about that rainstorm. The streets say they love you, but only showing hate for us. Yo, Lil Machi got shot, he caught a bad one. Murdered by his pops on, boy, that story sad, son. We lost Green in 2013, the same year I lost my legs, fam. Lost my little man.